Nobody wants to be the person on their team blaming the supports for losing. You ideally want to try and be nice to your supports because they're the ones that are supporting you, but sometimes they are actually the problem. So in this video I'm going to show you exactly how you know when it's actually your supports that are causing you to lose. A lot of the time supports may seem like the issue, but it's actually your tanks or your DPS, and here's why. If your supports are dying early every fight, it's because of one or two reasons. It's either the supports are not positioning themselves correctly and they're supposed to die because of that reason, or your tanks/DPS are not doing a good enough job protecting them. Now, staying alive as a support is important, and it's not entirely on the DPS and the tanks, but to some degree it is, so you have to factor that in before you flame someone in your games. So let's take a look at this first fight, because it's going to seem a little bit weird, and you're probably going to wonder, okay, how did we end up losing? So right off the bat, pretty normal. We get a nice entry pick, that's fantastic. The ball is going to do his ball things. I'm going to miss literally every shot on him, but that's no big deal because that's what balls do. Now, as we keep pushing in, we're going to try and go for some more picks, and eventually we're going to actually be able to do some decent damage. We're doing a good job of keeping them off our backline, and with a really nicely placed headshot, we immediately remove their main support. This should basically win us the fight, but it's not going to. So as we push in, things are still looking nice. We're even going to secure a second kill onto this ball, but even with 3 picks from my end, we're still not going to be able to win this fight. And you're probably wondering, how? Well, let's take a look at this from a third-person perspective. So as they're pushing in, we're doing a decent job of dealing damage to the enemy, but once we actually confirm that kill onto the Ana, look what happens. The ball is going to be able to roll in and easily finish off our Mercy, and their McCree will be able to finish off our Ana before we're able to finish him off, and they're going to kill both of our supports, so we have no sustain, and we lose. Now, that alone is not really too much of a problem of the Mercy. What could possibly be changed about our team comp so that something like this is a little bit less likely to happen? Well, your supports need to be able to defend themselves against balls. Balls in and of themselves are not really very dangerous targets, and so you should never really be dying to them one-on-one. You should be able to have a DPS or another support come help you before that ever happens. So in this scenario, it might make sense for us to get off the Mercy and go on to a Brig. That will provide a lot of protection to our team, and they end up doing that later on. That way, if the ball tries to harass our Ana, the Ana can sleep and anti him, and on top of that, she can also get armor packed, and there's no way that she can possibly die. But because she's able to get picked really early like that, really to no fault of her own, we do end up losing this fight. So this isn't really an instance of the supports being incompetent or anything like that, it's more so just they're maybe on the wrong hero and you might need to ask them to switch. Again, none of this is worth flaming them over, I promise you. Because often, with supports, it's a lot more convoluted than you'd imagine. Now let's take a look at this particular fight. Now as they're pushing in, we do a decent job of trying to get rid of the teleporter and the turrets that are on that high ground. We don't want to let them TP if we can, but right off the bat, the same Mercy dies right away, and we're not even able to really finish him off before he's able to kill plenty of our backline. So clearly there's an issue. Even if we manage to kill their Ana and contest the payload for a bit, the fight is still lost. And how did we manage to lose so quickly? Well, let's take a look at what happened there with the Mercy and how she managed to die so early. So let's take a look at what the Mercy is doing. Right now, she's shooting the teleporter, she's trying to damage boost me, but she flies too close to a McCree and gets punished for it. Now, the only time that your supports should be dying first in a fight is when the enemy team is doing a really good job of killing them. What I mean by that is the only way that your supports should ever be the first people to die in a fight is if there happens to be some crazy flank that catches them off guard, or if the entire enemy team dives and focuses a backline target, or maybe at least just a big play is made. Other than that, there should be no reason why your supports die first in the fight. Especially if no play has even been made yet. In that scenario, the McCree didn't do anything special, he just happened to walk onto that high ground and the Mercy was standing there completely ready to get shot at. That is an issue of the Mercy's positioning. The Mercy could easily damage boost me from a different position and not die to that McCree. Now this is very difficult to obviously find out in game, but if your supports are dying first every fight, it's not a bad idea to ask them and be like, hey, why are you guys dying so early? Are we dying because we're not protecting you, or are we dying because we're on the wrong hero? In this scenario, it's kind of a problem of the Mercy not having the best positioning in this scenario and her being on the wrong hero. She does manage to switch off later, and again, none of this is worth flaming over. This is just 2 fights that we're talking about, and again, if you flame your teammates, it's only going to make them more reactive, and it's going to make them not want to work with you. So if this is the scenario, you could just say, Mercy, try and be more careful, or Mercy, go to a break. You need to try and be on top of these things, and also be paying attention to the patterns. Because like I said, the Mercy is dying first in 2 fights that we lose. That is indicative of something. Either it's indicative of us not doing something, or the Mercy not doing something right. Now, to finish off this video, we're going to end this with one of the most glaring reasons why a support could possibly be the reason you lose. And that is simply, they're not healing you enough. So what can be the possible problem if a support is not healing you enough? Well, it could be because you're playing out of their line of sight. If that's the case, it's 100% on you, and that is your fault. The other case could be that they're getting pressured out and they have no way of easily healing you. If you have a flanker that's constantly harassing them, that could be the reason why you're not getting healed, because they have to spend their energy protecting themselves first. Other than that, there's really only 2 possibilities. They're not paying attention, or they're not hitting their shots. If they're not hitting their shots, there's nothing you can really do about that, but if they're not paying attention, that obviously is the worst case scenario, because again, you can't make them pay more attention. So let's take a look at this perfect example. As we're walking in here, we're just trying to shoot down any targets that we can, and this Hanzo comes off to the right. Now, I immediately get shot, and I'm the only person who can really deal with this target, so if I can get healed and supported up, maybe I'll be able to win this 1v1, but I'm already at it from a disadvantage because they got the first shot. Now notice from here, not only were they able to finish me off, but they were able to kill our Brig and essentially win this fight. Now, that sounds all fine and dandy, but let's rewatch that clip and see exactly what happened. As the payload comes around, the Hanzo contests and gets pushed back once. So that's good. Our tanks did a good job of getting rid of that threat that could have possibly killed our backline. Now let's pay attention to where our supports are. The Ana is right next to me and does not really heal me. The Brig is emoting on cart and gets easily headshot because she's not paying attention. If this is the kind of thing that is happening, there's really not a whole lot you can do, and honestly, the best thing you can do is just ask them to pay more attention. A lot of the times people don't realize that they're not paying attention until someone dies for it, so if you can say, hey, guys, pay attention, I just died right in front of you, that might give them the reminder that they need, that they should really pay attention. In that scenario, I don't think that the Ana was attempting to not heal me. I think the Ana was focused on her front line, but there's no excuse for a Brig to be emoting in your back line. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you learned something about how to pay attention and identify when a support might be the problem. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. This has been Twist with Games, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.